Seattle Seahawks training camp is just about to get underway. Good morning, everybody. We have made it to Tuesday, and this is a significant Tuesday for Seahawks fans because training camp for the 2024 season is right about here. If you want to be pedantic, it started last week when the rookies started showing up, and we've had players trickling in ever since then. But officially, Seattle Seahawks training camp starts tomorrow. And what we have is a team full of players that seem ready to show up and work. We're not hearing any indications of a holdout or a hold-in or anybody wanting a new contract or anybody who wants a trade. Nothing like that is going on with the Seattle Seahawks right now as we go into training camp. We are about as drama-free as can be. So all there is to do for us as Seahawks fans is to sit back, watch, and listen. Figure out what's going on, try to get a feel for the way things are going, and try to figure out what it tells us about the season the Seahawks are about to have. So I want to talk a little bit about training camp before we actually get there, before we actually start getting reports coming in about this guy looks like this guy looks like that. We're already starting to get a little bit of it because, like I said, a lot of the players have already showed up, but I'm going to hold off on the super in-depth breakdowns until we actually get everybody in the building and all the reporters are there and we really get some stuff to digest. So here's going to be some things that I'm looking for. Here's going to be some things that I really have an eye on, some things that I think are going to be very informative about this team going into 2024. And before we get there, it's just worth talking through. First, though, thank you for watching the video. Please like the video if you haven't already. Helps the channel out. Consider subscribing if you are new and you want basically daily Seahawks content. Consider becoming a channel member for $2 a month. Click the bell for notifications if you want alerts every time a video goes up. And yeah, that's what we do around here. So, Seattle Seahawks. What is interesting in this training camp? Because, again, I want to stress this. There's no real drama in terms of a holdout or a trade demand. Some teams are dealing with that. We are not. So what is interesting for these Seattle Seahawks? I would say in no extremely well-stressed order. I don't want to act like I'm putting things in a super strict order here. Here are the things that I really want to get a grip on as we go into the season. Wide receiver depth. I feel like I know the top of the roster, but I don't know the bottom. I know we're going to have DK, I know we're going to have Lockett, I know we're going to have JSN, and I know we're going to have Bobo. And I know some people are talking about how Bobo might be a surprise cut. I don't see it. He's a really good route runner. He's got really good hands. He's big, and he's a really good blocker. There is something that you can do with Jake Bobo, no matter what your offensive system is or what kind of a play caller you are. So I'm not buying that. I think he'll be here no problem. But after that, I don't know what we're going to do. Are we going to carry 5? Are we going to carry 6? And how are we going to prioritize who the guys are? Is it going to be special teams? Is it going to be return stuff? Are we going to basically allow guys like Shenault and Eskridge and maybe a D. Williams to show what they can do as returners, and whoever shows the best there gets the job? And maybe we open up one more spot for a guy like a Derek Young, who's a little bit of a fun, flexible, versatile receiver who can do some things that not every receiver can do. Are we going to open up a spot for a guy like Hayden Hatton, or are we going to try to get him to the practice squad? And some people will say it doesn't really matter that much. I actually think it does, because returning kicks this year is going to be more impactful than it's been in a while. So whoever ends up being our number 5 receiver may very well end up being our kick returner, and our kick returner may end up swinging games based on his ability to generate big plays. So I want to see who takes the lead in that regard. So that would be one of the first things I'm looking at. How is the wide receiver depth going to shake out? After that, I think the big one, I think the obvious one, would just be interior offensive line. We have no idea what's going on here. Is it going to be Laken Tomlinson? Is it going to be Oluwatimi? Is it going to be Christian Haynes? As you can see, ESPN right now actually has Nick Harris and Anthony Bradford listed as the starters. So they actually don't think it's going to go that way. I still think it probably will as of right now, but they're going to have to go out there and earn it. They're not going to just get handed it. Neither of them have done enough, and in the case of Haynes, hasn't done anything to earn that kind of credibility yet. So they have to go out and earn their starting jobs. So there's going to be every opportunity for a guy like Nick Harris to win it. Going to be an opportunity for a guy like Anthony Bradford to win it. McClendon Curtis even maybe. And there's going to be an opportunity for us to say, you know what? Let's go get Connor Williams. Let's put him in there and make everything a little bit clearer and better. And especially, I think special focus is going to be on Christian Haynes, because there's been a lot said about how he's been a little bit slow on getting comfortable on the offensive line, which is why he hasn't seen any of the first team reps yet. And I don't have a problem with that. But if he continues to not get first team reps at right guard, then people are going to start to get antsy for sure, because it's getting a little bit late. I know some people came into this expecting that he was just going to be the starter immediately, like as soon as minicamp started. The moment rookie minicamp started, he would just be the starter for sure, but that didn't happen, and it still hasn't happened yet. And I don't have a problem with that. I completely understand that you want to definitely prioritize the people who have experience, which Bradford does have, and technically Curtis has a little bit of it because he's been on the team previously. But if Christian Haynes doesn't start to show that he's gaining a level of comfort on this offensive line, people are going to start to get concerned. And I don't blame him, because this is a third-round pick. This is somebody who was very hyped. We were very excited about. This is a guy who started, a ton of games in college football. So it's not like he's super green or anything like that, and he has an excuse to not be able to pick things up quickly. So if Christian Haynes continues to hang out with the second and third team as training camp goes on, people are they're gonna start to wonder. But interior offensive line in general might be the most interesting thing on this team if I had to rank anything. We need to see how this stuff shakes out. Defensively, I am interested to see what we do on the defensive line at nose tackle particularly. Is Jarran Reed big enough to do what Mike Macdonald wants? Is he undersized? Is he going to look at Jarran Reed and go, I need to move you back to the end. I need to move you back to outside. Or is he going to find a way to make it work? Is Jonathan Hankins going to be a big part of what we do, or is he just going to be a little part? Cameron Young is currently injured, by the way. I don't think it's a significant deal, but for the moment, there's plenty of opportunities for Reed and Hankins to show that they deserve playing time. So very interested to see what we do there. I'd love to say I'm interested to see what we do at the inside linebacker spot with Baker and Dodson, but they're both out. So we actually kind of can't even evaluate that. It's going to be Radigan, O'Connell, and Tyrese Knight. And I'm not expecting much from any of those guys right now, so I'm not going to put a lot on them. So I'm not going to say too much about that. But the secondary is very interesting. I really want to see what the plan is with Witherspoon. Are we going to let him play outside only? Are we going to let him play inside in nickel? Or is he going to slide inside for slot snaps? Is he going to play any safety? Is he going to be following receivers? We might start to get a little bit of an idea of that as training camp goes on. And how are we going to handle the other cornerback positions around him? Is Woolen going to be the full-time starter? Is Jackson maybe starting from a position of strength because he's a better tackler than Woolen? When we go nickel, who's going to be the other outside corner if Witherspoon slides inside? That's the kind of stuff that I'm really wanting clarity on. What is going to happen at the cornerback spot outside of the obvious? We know some things, but what about the things we don't know? Is Artie Burns maybe going to get involved here? Is he going to play? Is somebody like Trey Brown going to maybe get priority over a guy like a Mike Jackson because Trey Brown is a little bit younger and I would argue has a little bit more upside? Could a rookie get involved? I don't know exactly what we're going to do. We know Witherspoon's going to play a lot. Pretty sure Woolen's going to play a lot. But how they handle the slot versus outside, how they handle the rotation is going to be interesting. We'll get our first indications of that in training camp. And I would even say safety. It's not super compelling yet. It could get super compelling. I don't think it's completely beyond the pale to suggest that Kevon Wallace could end up taking a starting job. So I'm going to keep an eye on him, see if he maybe makes a move. We don't have great safeties, and we don't have a ton invested into our safety. So a guy like Kevon Wallace could kind of come in off the top belt here and just take a starting job. He's played fairly well in his career, and neither guy in front of him is bulletproof at all, I don't think. So those would be the main things that stand out to me in terms of what to watch for the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe a little bit of Kobe Bryant, see where he's playing, see if he's going to be playing all over the place, or if we want to keep him firmly in one particular role. Sam Howell is certainly going to be interesting to watch to see how he's taking to the offense, but we all know that he's going to be the backup. So there's only so much that's going to matter until it matters. So it's going to be interesting to see, but it's not necessarily going to have a big effect on the 2024 season. It would take Geno getting hurt or Geno playing very poorly for Howell to get out there this year. And if either of those two things happen, it's probably we're probably in a pretty bad territory. But it's training camp. We get to watch everything. Everything that happens out there is going to be worth noting. Everything that we get to see, even a little thing like who's going to be the fourth running back. Is it going to be Helani? Is it going to be somebody who I viewed as being behind Helani? Is it going to be maybe Kenny McIntosh is the fourth running back and Helani leapfrogs him? Maybe we don't view McIntosh as really a running back. We view him as more like a gadget receiver and returner. How are we going to use our receivers? How are we going to deploy them? Is JSN going to be a pure slot guy, or are we going to move him around a little bit more and let him play outside? There's a ton of stuff that we're going to learn. Dre'Mont Jones. What are we going to see from a guy like a Dre'Mont Jones? That's another great example. Is he going to be playing on the edge a lot? Is he going to be playing everywhere? We're going to start to get an idea with this training camp. So those are the main things I'm keeping an eye on. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see over the next few weeks. We're getting close. Preseason's right around the corner, so it's time to lock in. See you guys later. Go Hawks.